Welcome back to Viewmasters. I am Ed Doherty, joined by Rusty Stark. We don't always identify ourselves by name, Rusty.
No, we don't.
And we're here a few days before Halloween with the film Demon Wind.
Yeah, interesting pick for the Halloween season.
You know, Rusty, after this episode, people might be saying, Demon, why? That being said, it has a few striking moments that I think are unforgettable. And we'll get to them in a second. Before we do, Rusty, please write and review the show.
Yes, please do.
You know, I was thinking once we get Nova old enough to speak, her first words can be "wait and review," and we'll get her to say it, and then maybe people will do it.
It's not a bad idea. Use my child as a promotional tool.
And then I was thinking she could be a guest on our episode about Faces of Death.
Well, she's got to start somewhere. Might as well go for it. Might as well just go for it.
Jeff Garlin, you know Jeff Garlin from Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Yes, I do.
He once had an indie film called I Just Want Someone to Eat Cheese With. I just want someone to watch Faces of Death with.
You know, I have a comment about Jeff Garlin. I don't know if you ever noticed, but Jeff Garlin has a very weird mouth, and Jen pointed it out to me, and I cannot unsee it now.
Really?
So next time you watch anything with Jeff Garlin, look at his mouth. You'll be like, what's going on there?
Well, I know what I'm doing tonight.
Got a hot date.
Oh my God, dating. I face a dating conundrum because of this podcast. Do you know that?
No, I didn't know this.
Because podcast comes up and I've got to ask myself, do I want that rating and review versus a woman listening to this and thinking I'm insane? Someone asked me the other day, they said, what's your podcast? And I was like, you can find that out after date number 3, even though she could so easily figure that out.
Yeah, it's so easy to figure out.
Look, I don't really throw semen from a hot air balloon.
But you would.
I throw it from a one-man gyrocopter. Like the guy from The Road Warrior. I'm like, hello! Splat.
Well, I know what you're doing during their apocalypse.
Demon Wind. Before we even begin, I just want to know, did you like this film?
Not really. I mean, it was okay. I will probably never ever rewatch this movie.
The only circumstance under which I could see myself watching this again is if fucking heaven forbid I'm on another podcast about the movie Demon Wind, or if I'm asked to do like a reboot of Demon Wind. Other than that, you'll have to put a fucking gun to my head to watch this.
What if you're abducted by the government and they do like the Clockwork Orange experiment on you and just keep playing Demon Wind over and over again?
Wow. I don't even think the Trump administration is that evil. Do you have the Vinegar Syndrome release?
I do, but I watched it on Amazon Prime.
Why?
I just found it easier on Amazon Prime because I needed to turn the subtitles on for some of the dialogue because there was a lot of mumbling.
There's a lot of there's a lot of sound issues. I know that's not the most exciting thing to talk about, but for a professionally released film, there's a lot of times where you're like, did someone sound edit this? Like, what the fuck?
I think the thing I like most about this film was that it was 1989 and it looked like 1989. So it was one of those years for me where, you know, very, very like visceral memories of that year.
I have to point out, Rusty, the movie was shot in 1989, but released in 1990. But I need to know, where were you in 1989?
Well, I was probably asking out that girl, that Russian girl, and telling her April Fools. If you remember that, that's a throwback.
Wow. We'll need a fan to tell us what episode that was.
The weirdest thing is I didn't recognize any of the cast members except one person, like the really random person that showed up midway through the film. The character Chuck, the magician guy, played by Stephen Quadros. Now, you probably don't know who he is.
Nope.
But his claim to fame is he's an announcer. And I know you are familiar with the UFC, but there's another fighting organization in Japan called Pride FC. And he was the commentator with Bas Rutten, who you may remember from the UFC game that we played.
He's got the same haircut as I do now. Wait, so this guy is an announcer for the Japanese UFC?
Well, the UFC bought it out, but years ago, their competitor was Pride FC, which was Japanese based. And he was the commentator, like I said, with Bas Rutten. And he's a really good commentator. I didn't know he was an actor as well prior to that.
Wow.
He stands out in this movie. I think he's probably the most standout character. He's the guy that shows up and does like the kicks the can into the guy's face.
Oh yeah, that's the best scene in the film. We're gonna have to really paint that picture for the listeners
we'll
when we get there, because that's about all this movie has going for it.
One last thing I'll say: there's a legendary story about Steven Quadros that supposedly in Vegas he beat up Joe Rogan, who's like a Taekwondo black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. But supposedly it's not true at all. But people won't let that rumor die.
Really? I would like to believe it because Joe Rogan's an idiot and Taekwondo is fake.
That's two huge statements made on the show.
Rate and review if you got a problem with it. Directed by Charles Philip Moore. Now, Rusty, did you know that Charles Philip Moore was an actor in Michael Jordan, An American Hero, the TV movie?
I did see that. I don't remember that movie. I don't even remember that movie, but seeing that piece of trivia really, really touched home for me because growing up, I was a huge Michael Jordan fan. And I really believed that I could be the next Michael Jordan.
Man, this podcast, one guy thinks he can go back in time and beat all old-time athletes of sports. The other guy's throwing cum from a hot air balloon.
Well, one is definitely true. I'll let the audience decide.
Oh, boy. Can't let this... And you got to be very careful about which jokes become running jokes. You don't want to force it, and you don't want to be associated with it. So I watched all the special features on the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray.
Oh, really? I didn't think there were any. I thought there were just some stills and stuff. Wow. This guy needs a life.
Useless.
This guy needs a life.
Completely useless. I would save it for later, but I'll just tell you now. All the interviews were just like, one of the actresses, she was like, yeah, I remember this. It was really fun, I think. And then like one of the producers was like, I wasn't on set, but I watched this last night with my son, and I said, I should have paid more attention to this film. It's a nice film.
Who was the actress?
She was the one who gets turned into the doll. Bonnie, I think.
That's the one they got. They couldn't even get Elaine for the Vinegar Syndrome.
She said she was great friends with Elaine, though.
They were holding Elaine with Patty Mullen.
The weird thing about... So the producer, though, he kept saying, like, he's like, I got out of the film business, and I was tasked with reimagining a city, building a city from scratch. But that's another story. And he says that like 5 times. So he just keeps saying that's another story. I was like, well, what is that story?
They should have asked him. They should ask
I don't mean to start with fucking shit talk here, but Vinegar Syndrome, if you're listening, 2 words, Elijah Drenner. Fucking get him. These were not on the level of the Great Arrow special features.
I'm going to give Vinegar Syndrome a pass here, though, because I think this is one of their earlier releases.
They also crank out so much great stuff that, come on.
Yeah,
I respect that. Put anything on here.
I replaced the collecting Arrow video with Vinegar Syndrome because I like the box art or the sleeve art.
Me too. So, great group of guys. I can't believe you were talking shit about them.
Yeah, I didn't say anything.
Probably the only famous trivia from this film is that Lou Diamond Phillips, who was married to one of the assistant directors on this film, she must have been like, "You're never going to believe this because I'm the second AD on this piece of shit. I'm actually married to Lou Diamond Phillips." He was like one of the biggest stars in that year.
Is Lou still relevant?
I mean, I've actually got a little bit of a report for you on Lou Diamond Phillips. Lou, I thought he was a great guy, and then I read his Wikipedia. I'm afraid to say that he, in 2006, was arrested for domestic conflict. That's horrible.
You don't recover from that one.
But not on this podcast. But Rusty, remember that second AD I mentioned?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that she was actually the person who she went off to be with Melissa Etheridge, which was the whole thing where Melissa Etheridge came out.
Interesting.
He was also briefly engaged to Jennifer Tilly, but they never married. In 2017, he was arrested in Texas after stopping his vehicle to ask a cop for directions. I don't know what was wrong with him when he was asking for directions. He must have asked in a really intense way. But here's the thing that I found most interesting about Lou Diamond Phillips. One of his recent roles was in 2016's The Night Stalker, directed by Megan Griffiths, who was going to borrow my car once. But he played Richard Ramirez in 2016. Now, in 2016, he was 54.
Okay.
In real life, Richard Ramirez was 25 during the events of that film.
Wow.
They must have just been like, look, Lou, this is the role you've been born to play. You've been waiting a long time. but you've got the look. We got the makeup. We'll do a little de-aging. You have nothing. You've got nothing to say about that, huh? You always mention the Night Stalker. The Night Stalker and Mike Tyson are the things you mention the most.
I don't know if that's true. I mean, I'm surprised he's still working. I'm shocked.
He's also on the show Longmire.
I have a dumb question. I don't know if you have an answer. Is Diamond his middle name, or does he have like a hyphenated last name? Is it Diamond Phillips?
Well, he was actually born Upchurch was his given name.
How do you know
Lou
so
Diamond? His middle name is actually Lou Diamond Upchurch. So the Diamond part, you would think the Diamond part was the part that got made up.
I thought you resigned from the president of his fan club, but I guess you retained all that information.
He was named after U.S. Marine Leland Lou Diamond. But after his father died, he took his stepfather's surname, Phillips, as his own. I guess he was like, fuck my dad. I'm taking my stepdad's name now he's gone.
Well, we don't know. We don't know what happened.
All right, that's enough about Lou.
That's riveting. Keep going.
Well, so he would come to set and he said, make me into one of the demons. Now, the producer and the special features of the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray, he said, the demons, no offense, they were horrible actors. They're terrible. And I was like, man, what would it be like if you were like, oh, I want to watch this movie I was in one time. I was like an extra. And then you put that on. The guy's like, they were horrible. He's like, but Lou Diamond Phillips, he was great. He was amazing. I believe, it's hard to tell because they're under such makeup, the demons. But I think he plays a few different roles. A few times I saw him, like I think he's in overalls at one point.
That's who I thought he was, the overalls guy.
But then I think he's wearing a different outfit when he's coming in like the window, like because in a later scene, because he looked just like he had the same eyes and everything.
If there's one thing you know, it's Lou Diamond Phillips' eyes.
Those baby browns, I'll get lost in those. There was also a pretty good interview though with the DP of this film. That's one of the standouts, I would say. You could say that the cinematography in this is a little better than most kind of horror films of this.
Yeah, my comparison was like, it's kind of like Hellgate, but like 100 times better. It's got the feel of Hellgate if Hellgate was done correctly.
Hellgate was made by a crazy guy in South Africa, and this is like LA film professionals making this film. Right? Wasn't Hellgate made because the guy had like access to like an abandoned mining town or something? Wasn't there some kind of asset that made them make the movie?
Surely you're not asking me to recall Hellgate. Was that the guy that was like the Vietnam vet guy?
Yes.
Oh.
But he wanted to he was like, I want to support apartheid.
You can't say that, but it's probably true.
Well, if anyone from the Hellgate production is listening to this, I'll be very surprised. So this movie opens with a body burning on a crucifix. That's how I like most of my parties start.
No, I think this movie started off pretty crazy though. Like the body burning, and then there's the farmer guy that's like eviscerated on the floor. You know what? When this movie first started, because I missed the year because it's 1931. Mm-hmm. But I thought it was taking place in like a concentration camp because the farmer guy had like the striped pajamas on. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, oh, is this going to be like a Nazi kind of movie? Because I didn't really know much about it. And no, it wasn't. So
it opens up with a chilling rendition, Rusty, of the song, Are You Washed in the Blood of the Lamb? Now, are you?
I'm not, but I like the juxtaposition of going from, that scenery of the burning person to like breaking it down with that song. It gave it a very creepy vibe.
It did.
But did you know that the song was originally written in 1878 by Elisha Hoffman, who served in the Civil War for about a month. then he left.
Another coward. Rusty, have you heard about, I was reading the New Yorker the other day. There's a long article about stolen valor. Have you heard about this?
I've heard about it.
Stolen valor is people pretending to have been in the armed services when they haven't been. But there's like a whole subculture on YouTube of calling people out.
Yeah.
And
I've seen that on Reddit.
Tons of videos. And in the New Yorker article, there's real army guys who are saying they don't even wear their uniforms anymore because if they do and go to Walmart, someone will come like running up and being like, where were you stationed? I tried watching those videos. Very uncomfortable.
Oh, I know. And wait, but what side are you uncomfortable? People being called out, or the people that are just relentless?
First of all, I'll be upfront with you. I'm thinking about becoming a stolen valor person myself. U.S. Marine Corps, that's me. Lots of special ops.
I like that you know nothing about.
Yeah. Oh, who were the people on my squad? One guy was a Native American with like a eagle, and another guy had like a dog, and Flint was there. Hawk was there.
Oh,
yeah, we fought this guy with like a metal encased head, and another guy with a metal head. He's talking about G.I. Joe. Honey, this guy's completely full of shit. Just let it go. He's obviously insane.
Imagine hearing that. You doing special missions, the G.I. Joe special missions.
Oh man, my buddy Barbecue, dude, he died.
What
I can't. When Duke got in that coma because Serpentor threw a snake at him.
Who threw the snake?
Serpentor, I think.
Oh, Serpentor. Sure. Yeah.
I'll have to check my letters home to remember if that was.
Imagine that they make a documentary on your life, letters home, letters sent home, or whatever, and it's just you talking about G.I. Joe special missions.
So Tunnel Rat got caught in a cave in tonight.
You love Tunnel Rat. It was like a brother to you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like some of the people they seem to be calling out kind of seemed like they had mental problems, you know? So I'm like, if this guy is like, this is what he's doing to feel good about himself, then just let the guy walk around in fucking camouflage. Who cares? And then the people who are like calling them out are pretty cringe inducing.
Yeah, definitely. But I feel like, I mean, are the people that are wearing the military uniforms, are they trying to get something out of it? Like, are they trying to get free benefits?
That's
or
the thing.
Like a discount?
In the article, they talked about people who are trying to get stuff out of it. People who are like running for office and totally exaggerate. Like there was like a house race. I'm not sure if it was in Texas. I think it was Texas, where both guys claimed to have been like special ops soldiers that had both been wounded, but neither of them had been. So that's bad. Yeah. But if you're just kind of like a more likable Adam Lanza and you're wearing like the uniform and that's like what makes you feel calm, then fucking wear the uniform.
That's your endorsement.
Well, that might get deleted.
I just like the fact that out of all the things you said on this, that might be the most controversial. I'm not sure.
You know, this became a marching song for the Salvation Army.
I do. I did know that. Because
I could just can't you just picture them walking down the street, fucking swinging like the change thing, like singing this "Are You Washed in the Blood" song?
Did you know this song?
No, I never heard it before.
Yeah, neither did I. But did you know it's covered by some notable artists such as Johnny Cash, Alan Jackson, and Billy Bragg?
Really?
Yeah. I listened to 2 of the 3 versions by Billy Bragg and Johnny Cash. Not as good as the version in this movie.
Really? I found the song annoying.
Really? I liked it.
Oh.
I felt like it was like ASMR for me.
Really? Wow.
But I also I watched the movie both times I watched it at like 2 a.m. So
Rusty, a mighty demon wind.
Yeah.
So explain to me what happens in this opening scene.
So then we're inside a house on a farm. It's not the farmhouse, is it?
I mean, it's like the home part of the farmhouse. I'm not a farmer.
But anyways, there's some shit going down. There's a brewing.
Yes.
And a woman turns to the camera, but before she does, she has some deep lacerations on the back of her head.
Mm-hmm.
Makes you wonder what that's about.
I think that was her, like from her whipping herself, right, in some kind of like religious way.
Like self-flagellation.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see. It looked like I thought that was the demon claw, like maybe got hold of her.
Maybe, but to me, it looked like self-flagellation. I know this because I minored in that in college. Come on,
what a career path you took. And I don't know. I love that place because of what you're saying. So this character Regina,
there's demonic voices are calling out to her, and she says to her husband, she's like, the spells can't keep them out anymore. And she's like closing the door. And I was like, this is like me in my apartment.
For some reason, I felt like the demonic voices sounded like Star Wars extras. Like either like Ewoks or some kind of droids.
Man, one guy's hearing droids everywhere. The other guy looks like a Lobot. This should just be a Star Wars podcast. Man, we're only like 2 days away from the release of The Mandalorian season 2.
Mm-hmm. Are you excited
Can
for
you
it?
believe that?
I
actually am excited. I can't believe it. I'm such a geek.
I liked the first season, but haven't put much thought into the second season. I watched the trailer. I was just like, I'll check it out.
I realized like last week that the second season was coming out, so I got psyched.
Yeah. Are you buying all the merch? You got the merch?
Dude, yeah, I got the fucking Baby Yoda fleshlight. That was a disgusting purchase.
But anyway, so Regina has this house protected, but her asshole husband George is there.
Oh yeah,
and he's creeping up on her, but he turns around and he's walking towards her. So we're like, he's walking towards her in such a creepy way that we know something's up with him before he starts oozing from his mouth.
Oh god.
But the daggers and diary, she needs them.
Yeah, we know immediately. We're like, I think we'll be seeing those daggers and diary later.
We don't know where this movie's going, but daggers and diary will come into play. That's a guarantee. But Georgie boy, he's oozing some viscous slime from his mouth.
This was fucking disgusting.
Yeah, it looks like he was standing too close to your hot air balloon.
Oh my god, that's you took it too far. I thought it was like New England clam chowder. It just like, and the shot stayed on him for like 3 more seconds than you wanted to. You're just like, not since high school have I've been so traumatized while also being so bored.
I thought it looked like rice pudding. I was prepared to lay underneath him and catch some just to say.
Oh,
what do you think was grosser, that or the green slime from You Can't Do That on Television?
Oh, I would fucking go swimming in the green slime.
Do you have an issue with vomit or this stuff in this movie?
I mean, I have a slight issue with vomit. I've known people in my life who are like, I've got an issue with vomit. I'm like, we all have issues with vomit.
I feel like having a baby gets you over those fears very quickly. Shit.
Yeah.
Like shit on you is not a big deal. Vomit on you is not a big deal, but
keep going. I'm hard. Keep going.
Piss. No big deal. Ooh. I think smells get me more than the visuals.
Yeah, definitely.
I could look at a pile of shit all day, but once you get a big whiff of it.
I just remember one time, I don't know if I ever told the story before, but me and Maddie were going to go see 2001 at the Hollywood Bowl, like an outside thing with like a live orchestra. Have I told this story?
No, I don't recall.
Anyway, we ate weed brownies and we took the subway there. So on the subway, I started having like kind of anxiety building up, and I looked down the train car, and I swear to God, this was not an exaggeration. This really happened. The most intense looking guy carrying what I believe to be a gun bag put on like a full skull mask, like a cloth like skull mask.
Oh man, your adrenaline must have been skyrocketing.
It was skyrocketing. And I said to Maddie, I was like, let's get off at the next stop. And she's like, why? And I'm like, that guy over there. She turns and looks at like a geeky guy to our right. And she's like, the Asian guy? And I was like, no, the guy in the fucking skull mask. And then she sees the guy and she's like, oh my God, we have to go. So we got off. But for some reason, that just really like shot up my heart rate and everything.
Yeah.
And we got to Hollywood Bowl. I thought I was going to pass out. And Maddie was like, are you going to vomit? I was like, I'm not going to vomit. She's like, I can't be around vomit. And she like runs off. And I'm like, all I need to do is get water and I'll be okay. And I'm waiting in the longest line for water. And at the register is fucking Jason Bateman and a friend of his. And they're talking to the cashier for literally like 10 minutes. And I'm like, why are you talking to the cashier, Jason Bateman? I'm going to fucking die here, man. I'm going to fucking die here, man.
So did you throw up or you were fine?
No, I was totally fine. But Maddie just fucking abandoned me. She just left me to die.
There's 2 things about that makes her a horrible friend: that she abandoned you and that she has no awareness of what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
Guy could have just came up to you. She would have even warned you.
I completely agree. And then by the time I finally sat down to watch 2001, I was like, oh, I just watched this movie like 2 weeks ago.
And that's a movie you can't watch 2 weeks later.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of awareness, Jen and I were walking one day with the baby pushing the baby in the carriage. Jen's talking to me, and I just see from the distance this crazy guy just walking in the middle of the street, and the
Oh,
car's
God.
like honking behind him, and he won't move. He just turns around and is like staring at the person driving, and there's
Mhm.
like a standoff. And I'm just watching this, and Jen's talking, and Jen's just like, "You're not even listening to me." I'm just like, crazy shit could go down. And this guy's clearly crazy, and he could come and attack us. I'm just like, I'm in defense mode here, just making sure. It's like, how are you not witnessing this? It's like 20 feet in front of us, but everything was okay.
All right, Russ, let's get back to the film, though, because there's a great line that George here has.
Oh my god, poor Georgie boy turns into a full-fledged demon. But what's that line? What's that line?
I want to hear you tell me the line.
He says to his wife Regina, he says, "Now my pig, you die."
It was great. That's what Jason Bateman should have said when he was leaving he finished up his transaction. He turned to me, and now, my pig, you die.
I feel like that's a really horrible insult to call someone a pig. I don't know. I feel like, some of the other ones are just so played out. They lost their meaning, but pig?
Yeah.
That's
my
brutal.
pig. It's like, I own you and you're a fucking pig. What's it like, Rusty, to be this actor? And this was his one role. Do you think he gathers his family around every Thanksgiving to watch this performance?
Gather around, children. They're like, Dad, we've seen this so many times.
We're only watching the first scene.
I know I said
he always does this. And now, my pig, you die. He'll say this every day. He says it.
I really wonder, because I said this during the It Follows episode. Do these people read this script and be like, "Oh, I have a line in this one," and they look at it and it's like, "Okay, I could work with that." Like, what it goes through their head? Is it just, I'm an actor, that's my profession, I just deal with what's ever given to me?
Yeah, definitely. So she drops the snow globe that seems to be a big focus in this scene play any role in the rest of the film?
So irrelevant. There's so many things of irrelevance in this movie, and this is definitely one of them.
So then we cut to the present day. Here's the thing about this film. I watched this before we did it for the show a couple months ago. And then I watched it again for this. And when I saw the landscape they were driving through, I was like, wow, that looks amazing. They must have shot this movie somewhere cool. Like, it looks like these hills, it's all green. And then I looked it up finally. It was Thousand Oaks, California. That's only 45 minutes away from here.
Oh, you got to go visit. You got to do one of those things that people do, go to the locations of a film and take pictures of like the now and post the, the comparison. You'll get a couple clicks on that.
Man, I might get one like if I tag Vinegar Syndrome in the tweet.
That's true. But anyway, so present day, we're introduced to our heroes, Corey and Elaine.
Yes. Elaine, who is likable, Corey, who is not.
I don't even know if Elaine's that likable.
Yeah.
But Corey is super unlikable. And he's also super aloof in this opening scene.
It opens with him, and look, we've all done this, and I'll never do it again, but we've all given the girlfriend the silent treatment. But
have we? Yeah, we have.
We all have. Yeah. But no one ever should. But that's a horrible way to introduce your hero. He's like driving, and she's like, "What's wrong?" He's like, "Nothing."
Yeah, it's really beating a dead horse to get any information out of this scene.
It really is.
Come on, we're on this car ride with them, and we're getting nothing. But we do know that he did have an interaction with his dad, but it's very vague as to what happened.
Yeah, it's very hard to follow. It seems that 2 days before this drive, he finally met his father, tracked down his father. But Elaine is saying, "What happened to your dad? Like, what happened in that interaction?" And he's not telling her.
They should give us something to propel the story, because we do find out eventually later on. But I feel like it was missing in this scene. Maybe it would have made the character more likable, because from the beginning, Corey is a complete douche.
Yeah. This movie has a very bad system of getting out exposition. There's like 2 scenes where they sit down and like explain everything you need to know. And it's like, you could have just spread this out a little bit.
I feel like they do that. Those scenes do it in an incredibly boring manner too.
Oh, they really do. I mean, it's just the other characters are sitting around being like, "And what else do you know?"
Did you notice though in this scene though where Elaine's talking to him? Because I had to put subtitles on. She mumbles something. She's like, where she says to Corey, she's like, "I really wanted to find your dad. I thought it would help to," and she says something that sounds like "undo the knot you tied in," and in the fucking subtitles, it just puts in quotations mumbling. So I have no idea what she said.
The person who did the subtitles not one was just like, oh, fuck, I'm going to lunch. Mumbles. No, she says, undo the knot you've tied yourself in. Something
So
like that. She does say that, yeah.
I think she just says it in a poorly constructed way. I don't know. I needed help.
Corey is our hero, and we literally hate him in the first 3 seconds.
He even has a look. He should not have been cast as the lead.
Rusty, actually, I was curious about this guy. I looked him up. And here is a little fact you might find interesting. In the year 1996, he bombed the Atlanta Olympics.
That's the guy? They got him?
Doesn't he looks like Eric Rudolph in a way, doesn't he?
Yeah.
How many horrible murderers can we mention in one episode?
It's not over yet. Let's keep trying. Let's set that record. The guy Corey, though, doesn't he look like somebody that would be in one of those live action video games like Sewer Shark or something? Like that seems like the role
wow, he does.
where he'd go.
If he's listening right now, he's like, and I lost out on Sewer Shark. Thanks for bringing that up. I auditioned. I was like, watch out for that wall. They didn't think I communicated it right.
I even think the other guy, the jockey guy, was a better actor than him.
I mean, yeah. Also, it's very, the whole cast is just completely white. And there's like 3 or 4 guys that look exactly alike.
They really do. They also introduce characters in such a weird way because you get most of the characters initially, and then they're introduced a quarter of the way through, and then like a third of the way through. The way this movie, I mean, we probably should just wait till we get to them, but the way this movie introduces characters, I think this is what I thought when I was a kid, like a friend group would be like, where it was like, here's my friend who's a ninja, and then I've got a barbarian, and then I've got, it's like, they really try to make them all super distinct, but it's like insane because no one is this distinct. Well, in the next scene, in the cafe scene, each of these characters comes in like one at a time. So it's just here's the jock guy, and then like opens the door. It's like, oh, here's the girlfriend. Opens the door. Here's like the nerdy, pretentious guy. And they all make a hell of an entrance. So because that's one of the best parts of the movie. So we won't. Corey is pissed off. It's kind of a tense drive. We don't learn anything interesting here. We see a girl in the hills pointing a stick at them. What's her story? Why is she just sitting in the hills? She was in the hills when they came and when they left. She's just waiting. She's like, oh, finally a car to drive by to point my stick at. Do you think from the car, do you think they could have noticed her? Well, I'm not sure if she was invisible or who knows. Because she does smirk as she's pointing at them. So do you ever smirk to yourself as you're just doing something randomly? I mean, I laugh like the Joker to myself constantly. Smirk, I don't know. I don't know. But Corey, before we get to the cafe, Corey starts to open up a bit. We need something here before we get to that cafe. Yeah. Corey says, he's like, I just got to go to this farm. And Elaine is not alarmed at all. She's just like, oh, okay, cool. You're compelled to go to a farm. I feel like besides the friends, Elaine is the most calm person throughout this movie. Everyone is too calm. Everyone is way too calm. The whole film. I feel like the cafe would have given me bad vibes. Be like, gotta get out of here. This place is crazy. Oh yeah. So they arrive at the cafe. This is another, I mean, I would be willing to bet money that a lot of cocaine was involved in the conception of this script. 89? Yeah. Definitely. So Corey shows up at the cafe and then he goes, I've been here before. Yeah. And then he's like, it was just a dream. But we suddenly cut to his dream where he is sexy. He is naked. And how hairless is this guy? I'm impressed. I'm jealous. Did they wax him for that? Or is that just a gift? I don't know. If this was me, it would have looked like that famous Bigfoot film, the Patterson film. I thought you were going to say like a werewolf. Well, both work. But I'm more reclusive, like a Bigfoot at this point. Are you that hairy from shoulders down? Not from waist down. Do you have that like thick curly hair? What do we got going on? Yeah, it's kind of like I don't know exactly how to pronounce it, but like, that Greek like a satyr. Is that how you say it? Like a satyr? Yeah. Like it's got like the legs of a goat. That's me. That image. Well, at least you're putting it out there that if they ever need to cast that character, they know where to. Oh hell yeah! Come knocking, yeah. But yeah, so in this dream he sees his bloody grandmother.
Yeah.
We find that is that when we find out that Regina from the beginning of the movie is his grandmother?
Yes. And okay, so the grandmother died in 1931, and obviously they had photography back then. Rusty, as you know, Matthew Brady is my favorite photographer.
You love those Civil War stills?
Oh my God. My apartment is all Civil War stills, just people looking at the fucking camera like it's a tool of the devil.
Most people don't even know who Matthew Brady is. At least you could've
I
gone with
think
Ansel Adams.
there's a character. Okay, there's a character sort of inspired by him in the movie Young Guns. Now you
Oh,
know.
really? Well, we're bringing Lou Diamond back into this.
Oh shit! I didn't put that together.
Oh well.
They make it look easy. But he immediately recognizes his grandmother, who he's never met before, and he's just like, "Grandmother."
I think it's really weird that he calls his grandmother
Yeah.
when communicating with her later on. I don't know. That's one of the things I never would address by one of my grandparents that way. I don't know. It's a small thing that bothered me.
Yeah.
Have you ever had dreams where you were naked? I don't think I've ever had a dream that I was naked. Like
Not that I can recall right now.
Like I never had those those anxiety dreams of being in front of like an auditorium naked or anything like that. I would like to.
Oh. So they pull up to this gas station, which really looked like quite a set.
Yeah, the attendant's out there waiting for them.
Oh
No
my
customers,
God.
but he's waiting.
This attendant, he gave me an idea for a film though. He is like the classic Harbinger character who's like, don't go to Camp Crystal Lake. You know, he's like, you're all going to die up there. Like he's that character. There should be a film called Harbinger where one of those guys is a lead character.
Oh,
He could be played by Bruce Dern.
Bruce Dern. I feel like one of the tropes that they didn't act on is where he would come to the rescue at the end or something.
Yeah.
Which I was surprised at. I was just like, oh, this guy's coming back at the end and he'll get killed. He'll be like the character from The Shining. Not Green, the other one. Dick
Halloran.
Halloran, yeah.
Scatman Crothers.
Oh, don't. Good old Scatman Crothers.
Still alive, contrary to popular belief.
Wow. What kind of animatronics do they have in him?
That'd be.
What year did that
Just
guy die?
Let that man rest. I feel like he died. I feel like I remember him dying. I feel like he died in like 2001.
No way. He didn't make it to the 2000s. There's no way. I'm guessing early 90s.
Scatman Crothers. 1986. Wow.
You're not even close.
So he's like, as soon as he like Corey is like, hey, where do we get to that farm? And he's like, damn it, there is no farm. We got to move it. Like he gives like the classic warning. They go inside the cafe. Rusty.
Wait, but before we do, I have a quick question for you.
Mm-hmm.
When was he planning for this moment for years? Like, did he know that somebody would eventually come looking for that, or is this like an attraction that he keeps telling people it doesn't exist?
That's why Harbinger is going to be a great film because, like, what are these guys doing on their off hours? You know, why do they choose to live near these haunted places?
He wakes up in the morning.
The backstory.
He wakes up in the morning. His wife's like, "What are you doing? Why are you going there to tell those kids that show up?" He's just like, "I got to do it just in case.
Exactly.
In case anybody shows up today."
Like, I feel like there's a lot of movies that are about like horror tropes, you know, examined or subverted, but that's never been done. Yeah. Harbinger.
I like. Look at you giving free ideas.
I know. And Bruce Dern. I can't. Did he die?
No, he's still alive.
If he's still, cast him. Fucking done.
There's been a lot of deaths this week. Jeez.
Really? Who died?
James Randi.
I predicted that.
Well, not this week, but Eddie Van Halen.
Oh yeah, Eddie Vedder.
Tony Lewis of the outfield.
Man, that's kind of a loser crop of dead celebs. You know,
what?
Saint Peter at the gate of heaven. The gates of heaven is like, oh, look at this crowd coming through. It's like, hey, Peter, any good celebs die? Nope, these kind of losers. Well, you know that band, The Outfield? What song did they sing?
Isn't Eddie Van Halen a pioneer of guitar playing?
Dude, I'm punk. I don't even know who that is. But I am sad whenever an Eddie dies. It's like when I was on the plane and I saw Edward James Olmos, and I was like, if this plane goes down, this is horrible for the Eddie community.
Who's being upset by you passing?
I was going to yell to him as the plane right before we crashed. Eddie, I'm Eddie too.
What would he say to you?
He does go by Eddie, so
Does he really? Eddie James Olmos, wow.
I believe, yeah. I mean, his friends like me and others.
I did not, I'm not in that crowd.
Yeah, they go into this cafe.
This is one of the weirder scenes.
Yes, it is. Explain what happens here.
It takes a weird turn because Elaine randomly like starts rubbing her pants or opening her pants, and then she drops them. Corey turns around and gets like a little cheeky little show of her mooning him.
It was very weird. It's like a very extreme close up though of her butt.
Yeah.
So I was like, was she shy and didn't want her butt seen? I mean, you do see her butt a second later, but like it seemed like maybe there were, but it's just a weird cut. Also because there's absolutely no music.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet that it was another character's butt in that scene. One of the minor characters. Probably Rena that showed up later on. But Corey has a weird line for that.
God. This was, I wanted to jump in the film and just start throwing hands.
It's like a moon for the misbegotten, which is a sequel to Eugene O'Neill's play Long Day's Journey into Night.
Wow. Really?
And it's a story of a doomed man's guilt and the woman who tries desperately to love him, which is pretty symbolic of their relationship.
Wait, I saw this in your notes. I thought it was a joke. There actually is a sequel to Long Day's Journey into Night?
Yeah. A moon for the misbegotten. Yeah. Never seen it, but
who knows what other famous works got sequels I don't know about? Waiting for Godot 2? There's more waiting. Wow, that's a horrible joke. So they're greeted by this weird lady who works in the cafe who interrupts, and she says the bathroom's outside. I guess because she sees that Elaine's got her pants down, so she's like, if you want to piss, that's in the other room. But it's kind of a weird interaction.
One other thing I want to say though, I love a good sexy scene in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all about that, but this was by far not even close to sexy. It was just
not at all.
Very off-putting.
It was. I think it's just a lack of music, the way it's edited, the way that Corey says "a moon for the misbegotten." Like it's very just like, let's move on here, people.
He's a terrible boyfriend. I feel bad for Elaine.
And so this weird lady announces that all they have is beer, Coke, water, and goat's milk. I think I might start saying that to people when they come over. So I actually thought this lady is kind of effective because, like, well, first of all, there's a weird moment where Corey is like, has anyone come through here lately? And it's like, what does that have to do with your investigation to ask that? And then she's like, but that sets her up to be like, have you seen little Linda?
Why does that never come back into play?
I don't know.
I'm assuming little Linda might be the girl on the hill.
Yeah, I think so too.
Or I don't know. That's all I got to work with.
So she's basically really weird, and she's like telling them stuff, but then the Harbinger guy peeks inside, and she like shuts up. But now let's get to the good shit, Rusty, because in comes Del.
Oh my God, Del is quite the character in this movie.
He is your classic blonde hunky jock from the 80s.
And there's one effective means of conveying who the jock is. Put him in sweatpants.
Put him in white sweatpants.
I feel like that would be a terrible decision for you.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. He's got a lot of stains in them.
Well, okay. But so Del enters. The first thing he does is really fucking deep kisses Elaine. And then he gives Corey like a double high five, very like a intense high five.
Yeah, it's weird that Corey wasn't bothered about him making out with his girlfriend.
Corey's grinning, man. He likes to be cuckolded.
He really does. But the thing is, so you're like, oh, this is the player guy. He's like, he's that type. But then his girlfriend walks in.
And he says about the girlfriend that she saw a mall on the way up. So 80s. And they had to stop. That's me and you. We would have stopped at that mall too.
But then they very sensually kiss.
Yeah. They say 35% of malls will not survive the pandemic.
I feel like malls were a dying breed anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know. If you see my foyer right now, it's just loaded with packages. That's the way to go. Just keep ordering shit.
For a second, I thought you meant that you're opening up a store, like a mall store. That'd be great if you open like a kiosk in your house. And you're like, Jen, can I sign you up for a phone plan? She's like, Rusty, you have to stop this.
Pearson Pagoda. Jenny,
It's like,
you look like you could use another Pearson.
it's like, I'm trying to make us money, Jen. It's like, but I'm your only customer. This pandemic has really driven you insane.
You're my favorite customer.
So him and the girlfriend immediately make out. We see some tongue action. Love to see that in films.
Yeah. And he says a line that, his catchphrase.
Yeah.
Hey, that is why I keep her around.
That was awesome. I respect that.
Eddie D respects that.
Very clear that Dell is not surviving this movie.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I thought he would be the first one to go, but I guess they need him around a little bit because he's kind of the skeptic. I mean, there's so many twists and turns to his character.
Yeah.
Because he later becomes like the super committed boyfriend and he needs his girlfriend. But yeah, he's also the one that was like where the other guy was trying to steal his girlfriend.
Yeah, but we're going to get to him in a moment. First comes in Bonnie and Jack.
Wait, is it weird though just to say that Dell might be the most likable character in this movie?
He probably is. I think it's a tie between him and then the two guys that show up in a moment. In the only good scene in the film. But so first we get Jack. Jack is like the pretentious friend.
Yeah, I like his vibe a little bit. Maybe his look.
Hey, Corey, I got Waiting for Godot 2. This has more waiting. You're not going to believe it. How do you sum up Bonnie?
Valley girl kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, she's fairly anonymous and the first to die.
Although she does reappear later on though, but as a demon.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's the point that she does. She's the first to die, but she hangs around. So they decide now's the time to discuss some business, crack open a cold one.
Yeah.
But nobody else is drinking in this scene. And Del takes that personally. He's just like, hey, what is this? Just say no week?
Yeah. So, and then
his girlfriend's just like, I'm drinking with you. And he's just like, hey, that's why I keep her around.
Rusty, you're so into the 80s. You should celebrate all the like week-long holidays that are sarcastically referred to in 80s movies. Like you could celebrate Just Say No Week. You could celebrate Take a Worm for a Walk Week from Karate Kid.
Yeah, yeah. Isn't it weird that like there's still peer pressure in these movies? How old were these people supposed to be? Imagine being in like your 30s and still being peer pressured.
I feel like there's peer pressure doesn't exist anymore. That's probably very ignorant to say.
Oh, really?
But I feel like the kids today are too smart to be like, come on, drink it. Do a shot. I mean, maybe like in really shitty areas with like idiots.
I feel like if you went to a high school, you'd find out how out of touch you were.
Oh, yeah.
You're so out of touch. You're like, I still listen to Taylor Swift. Am I cool?
Dude, Taylor Swift is still cool. So,
well, you would try to be relevant with them by saying you listen to Taylor Swift.
Well, so Corey starts telling everyone about, this is one of our exposition scenes. Corey says that right after he met his dad slit his wrists. Then he explains that when his father was a baby, this is like the cocaine aspect, because like it's very convoluted, like the backstory. When they tell the backstory again, they're like, in 1929, this happened. Then in 1931, that I'm like, you can't have 2 years of flashbacks.
Yeah.
So, okay. Everyone at the farm disappeared. And then Del is like, what happened to your dad during this time? And he's like, he was on an incubator in the hospital. And after Corey was born, for some reason, the father waited until Corey was born to go looking for his family.
Yeah.
And he never returned. Then Corey tracked him down and he immediately slit his wrists. So obviously, there's some trauma here that Corey's trying to figure out.
Yeah. The thing I took away from that scene, though, is when Corey mentions to his friends about that with finding his father and slitting his wrist, Elaine gives him a look like, you didn't tell me that. But she's shocked. But this guy's been so elusive. Like, I feel like, I don't know, I have a point right now. Holy shit. I've lost my train of thought.
Well, so the Harbinger comes in and he's like, God damn it, get out of here. I already told you to get out of here. And Corey is like, I own the property. And the Harbinger guy's like, you don't own the property, the dead do. Now, I hate to be like a basic person who is like, turn back, don't go in that room. But more than most films, there's so many times in this movie where you're just like, okay, maybe don't go to the place or maybe don't go in this door.
Yeah.
Like it's very dubious benefit.
The other thing that they use repetitiously in this movie is that where you said where the backs are turned to the camera, people pulling guns out. It's every
Yeah.
character seems to have a gun that they pull out, and it also seems like characters that would never even have access to a gun.
Yeah. Well, that's a funny thing we're going to get to. But so the first gun that gets pulled out is I believe a Colt single action revolver, Rusty.
Wow,
Actually, it didn't look real to me, but I can't really say.
it was bending. It's like the
And,
rubber camera.
and everyone's like, we got to get out of here. They all leave, but Corey stays. And this was actually kind of a nice moment though, because Corey kind of faces down. The guy's name is Harcourt,
Yeah.
and he's like, come on, tell me what you know. Something's going on here. And so then the guy tells Corey some of this backstory, Rusty. Why don't you tell us what he tells him here?
Well, he says there was a drought in 1929. This is where we get the wind. A hot, dry wind blew in that summer.
You forget a
And
lot that the name of the film is Demon Wind. I know I did.
yeah, I did too, except when it came in a couple of times. The cattle and the crops burned to a crisp. Smell of death hung in the air. And it happened on a Sunday while all the families were at church, except the Carters didn't show. Now, here's an interesting thing. Harcourt was present at the time. He wasn't at church. He went to see what happened to the Carters, and he found them covered in blood. And the blood was all over the walls, and there were figures in the dark screaming and laughing at him. Did you know, Ed? He ran out of there and never told a soul until now.
It's like, okay, so you devoted yourself to being this harbinger guy who warns people, like, don't go that way. But maybe you should tell them that detail.
Yeah. But I'm confused a little bit by Harcourt's timeline. How old would he have been at that time in 1931? Because it would put him in like the late 60s, right? If he was an adult.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm not sure if he was like a 13-year-old or how old he was.
Oh, I guess he grew up fast back in 1931.
Oh yeah. Back in the time of the Crusades, you were only considered a child until you were 5 years old.
Really?
You gotta go back.
Gotta go back. But obviously, Harcourt is not very persuasive. He still begs Corey not to go there, but Corey can't resist.
It's so funny because Corey is like, I have to. And then Harcourt's just like, oh, okay. So just follow the road.
Yeah, another character that's very inconsistent. I kind of like Harcourt though in a weird way.
Me too.
I'm trying to see if the actor's still alive. I want to adopt him to be my father, my surrogate father.
There's no way that actor is still alive. He probably died 10 minutes after they wrapped this. Now this is probably the best scene in the movie.
Oh my God. The land of illusion and fantasy.
Chuck and Stacy, two of the more memorable characters here. Yeah. But in classic 80s movie fashion, like this is, to me, the entrance they make is less realistic than demons existing.
They reminded me of Us.
Oh, they did, yeah. And they reminded me of, like, if I watched this as a child, I would have been like, oh, those guys are so cool. They show up in a convertible. One guy, the guy who's driving, Stacy, has like a CB radio that like is amplified or whatever. And he's like, welcome to the land of illusion and fantasy. And Chuck is standing up wearing what looks like a magician's Dracula outfit.
Yeah, it's like a tuxedo with the medallion and everything. Yeah.
And he's already standing up before they even saw anybody. So I don't know if he was standing up the whole time or.
He has very stiff legs. They don't bend to sit down.
And this is pre-cell phone era, so. But what an entrance. They come in, he releases a dove.
Yeah, I mean, well, are they magicians? What I guess that's what they're trying to tell us.
Oh yeah, they are magicians. It was kind of a weird dynamic though. Like they seem like they're magicians and then they become kind of like the Lethal Weapon friends.
I would compare them to like Double Dragon or Akari Warriors.
Yeah.
Two crude dudes are just us. Two bros, man.
That is, yeah. So they show up and we get a little bit of a subplot here where Chuck is Terry's ex and Dell is like, no one told me he was going to be here.
Which didn't really play out much because they kind of, buried the hatchet pretty quickly.
But it plays out classically. This is the one I would say, watch this scene on YouTube and then you could be done with Demon Wind.
This is by far, like you said, the best scene in the movie.
So explain to us what happens here.
Um, well, I already forgot. What does Chuck do to set it up? He is that the dove? No, that's the dove comes a little later.
Yeah.
What does he do that he gets the beer can thrown at him?
I think he insults Dell or something, I believe. And Dell throws a can at him and he kicks it in the air, but he kicks it a bunch of times and it goes like slow-mo in the air.
Yeah.
The weird thing is you could see the string on the can. And I was
Mhm.
like, why do you need a string on that can? Why can't you just throw a can in the air and film that? um, and then he does a roundhouse kick that hits Dell in the head.
That's going to send him aggro.
So then Dell advances on him and a smoke bomb goes off. And then Stacy is in front of Dell and he's like, calm down. You might hurt the rabbit. And then there's a rabbit at their feet. And you're like, what the fuck am I watching? And this is like a moment where the movie gets delightfully weird. And if it was this weird the whole time, it would be fucking amazing.
Yeah. I'm just curious. I mean, all these people are friends with Corey, right?
Yeah.
They're all there for Corey. Where's Corey finding these people?
I mean, this is getting ahead of ourselves, but Corey explains to everyone, he's like, listen, we're on an expedition. My grandfather was like haunted. And I'm just like, imagine trying to say this to like our friends.
They would be such dicks about it.
They would not show.
They would not show. Yeah, I mean, they seem to be pretty supportive friends, but like the magician guys, I want to know, did they know they were going away for this expedition and be like, well, we got to pack our gear for this. We got to put on a show.
Yeah, they're like, weekend trip. Okay, how many doves should we bring?
The doves, rabbits, some smoke bombs. I like though that they really stay true to the character because like even in the background, like the one guy Chuck, he's playing with like the magic scarves. I mean, it's like even in the background scene, he's like very consistent.
Also, I wanted to say that Harcourt, the old Harbinger man, is watching the whole thing where the guy roundhouse kicks the beer can into other guy's head, and his reaction is so fun. He just like he has like it's like this is quite a day for a town where no one comes through, and then someone shows up and roundhouse kicks a beer can into another guy's head. Wow.
Now you're a karate guy. Did you respect that roundhouse kick?
Those were great kicks, and in a very Van Damme kind of fashion. It's shot like Bloodsport, where they do the kick like 3 times.
Yeah, he is a martial artist, so.
Oh, I mean, you could tell by. I mean, now I got a nose for my own.
Now, when he saw that roundhouse kick, and it was pretty high up, where you like, that's sorcery right there. This guy really is a magician.
I was incredibly impressed. And then so Dell needs to get a few last words in. He tells Chuck he's going to drop him like a bad habit. And then kind of a funny moment, not even a funny moment, but like a weird moment. Chuck pulls out a dove and goes, Shazam, and releases this dove. And I guess the joke is just that it's like not a magic trick at all because he's just like showing you that he's pulling it and throwing it up. Yeah. But then the dove poops on Dell.
In a weird turn of events there, he grabs the poop with his hand and just like throws it off of him.
Yeah, he wipes off the poop with his bare hand. It kind of seems like it's and the poop also looked like it was the exact same clam chowder stuff that the demons vomit. And it was like the special effects guy is just like, this is great stuff. This can be bird shit. This can be demon vomit. We're going to be saving money on budget.
It was just leftover stuff from the movie. This stuff. He's just like, well, I got this vat of it.
Ooh, I would love some of this stuff right now.
I would eat such a jar of that.
I just bought more candy for the. Remember that movie? Yes, episode 5 or 4. I just bought more candy for the lobby candy bowl. Woo yeah! And I consumed like 2,000 calories of candy today.
Jen keeps buying candy, and I can't stop eating it. I got to tell her to stop, but I don't have the willpower to do so. Oh my god! I wish she got the. I don't know. Are you a fan of the Hershey miniatures?
Hell no.
Real? What? You don't like Mr. Goodbar or Crackle?
Well, those are okay, but in general, that stuff tastes like it was made by slaves out of like palm oil.
It is made with palm oil. Fucking. All right. Now you're making me feel guilty about it, and I can't stop eating it.
All right. So they go to the farm. Rusty, tell us about the first thing they see. They pull up. Imagine you pull up to a fucking farm, and this is what you see.
Well, I mean, they don't know the historical context behind it, but they see the fucking skeleton still on the cross.
How is a skeleton from 1931 that was burning in 1931 is still on this cross in pretty great shape? And like no like local teens have come by, no like police have come by.
I would imagine that land would have been for sale too. Somebody would have bought that land, maybe not done anything with it, but they would have been probably surveyed it and be like, "Oh, there's a skeleton on here. We got to remove this."
Now they all crowd around the skeleton. Everything they say is just weird. Elaine says, "What do you think happened here?" Dell says, "I wonder who it is." Like, really? You wonder who it like? You wonder who the skeleton is?
I think the characters are as dumb as the audience watching this movie. Not like just because the audience just has no idea what they're watching. So they're just asking stupid questions like the characters are.
Corey says, "Stay away from it. Don't touch it. Please." That final please is like kind of moving in a way.
But it triggers a memory from, I guess, the 1931 where his dad's brother is running. He's the guy from the beginning of the movie, the one that was eviscerated.
Pointless scene.
Very pointless. I mean, how is this demon so slow gaining its power?
I don't know.
I mean, it's been working to get full strength from 1931 to present day.
But I got to say, Rusty, I saw that. So you said that he had a mullet. Do you remember when your friend that I met that one time said that I had a mullet?
Which friend are we talking about?
It was like a guy from Nassau. We like went to the mall with him once, and he was like, "How's your friend with the mullet?" And I did not have a mullet by any stretch of the imagination.
I don't remember who that person was, but I do remember that being told he had a mullet. Oh man, that's funny.
So Dell, okay, they're looking at the skeleton. They find another skull in the ground. They're like, "What happened here?" And the farmhouse is completely destroyed. It's just like a one wall standing up. And then Dell is like, "It's pretty obvious what happened here." He picks up like a broken lantern. He's like, "There was a fire. These people burned up, and that's it." And it's like, how do you get that all from a broken lantern?
Now, I just want to know: do you think they found this setting, this location, or do you think they built it?
I think they built it.
You think they built it? Because it doesn't seem like a film with a high budget.
No, definitely not. I think the budget was $500,000. I think.
Oh, really? And that's actually more than I thought.
Yeah, but that's low. I mean, that's really low for that year because like it's shot on film and it was harder to do things like with no budget back then.
Yeah.
But Chuck says, "I don't know what happened here, but you can sure tell death walked through this place." It's like, oh, okay.
I kind of like Chuck's delivery on things though. But
Chuck was cool.
You got no problem with Chuck. He'll beat you up. He'll take you.
I love
Joe Rogan.
I love Chuck. Now, this is probably one of the cooler aspects of the film. Probably one of the more memorable aspects of the film.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely a cool premise because they approach the door, and obviously you said it's all destroyed.
It's just like a door that's in like a one wall, standing wall, barely standing.
One standing wall. And they open the door, and inside is the house from 1931, frozen in time.
Yeah.
Right down to the turkey dinner still on the table that we saw in the opening scene.
It's crazy. I can imagine the Airbnb reviews. It's like, pros, more space than it looks like. Cons, my daughter vomited clam chowder. I asked for a refund and the owner emailed me, "Now my pig, you die."
At what point did you get the Evil Dead vibe from this movie?
Oh, I mean, it really starts kicking in now, and then it is incredibly influenced by Evil Dead from this point on.
No doubt about that. A cheap cash in, I feel like.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's nowhere near the filmmaking level or like the wit. Like a lot of times when the demons have like lines, it's like, that was your best line?
The pig one's still a good line.
The pig's the best one.
That'll do, pig.
So they go inside, and this is another moment where you're like, I think you probably should not go inside, but they go inside.
Wait, but what would it take to get you inside? Because
well, also I find the 30s so uniquely unappealing. So like a 30s house, I don't want to go in. A 20s house, a 40s house, maybe. But an 80s house, I know you're going in.
Oh, I don't care what's going on in there. I'm running in.
The ghost needs to set up a Tron cabinet Ooh, we're both going in.
They're playing Photon.
It's oh my god, wow, that was always my dream.
It was like
Karate Champ. It's not even Rusty. Karate Champ's not even a good game. I'm going in. I got Karate Champ.
it could literally be anything from the 80s, and I'm in there. Even something like Popples. I wasn't really into them, but I'm going in.
Popples. Oh my god.
But anyways, yeah. So they go inside and they're looking around, and there's Latin written on the wall.
Yeah.
And Bonnie, who conveniently speaks Latin, recites what's written.
Yeah.
And then
isn't this the same thing that happens in Evil Dead where he like reads from the Necronomicon?
Yep, exactly. And the house violently shakes.
Now,
and they run out
this was one thing I learned from the special features. They had the set on these huge like shaking machines. And Rusty, that earthquake almost tore the set apart and destroyed the whole thing.
Oh, thank God it didn't. We were left with this piece of art.
So the earthquake happens and everyone flees. For some reason, Corey is like shining his flashlight. Wasn't this a weird moment? Yeah. It was just to, like keep him in the building. But you're like, why is he standing there?
Well, if he wasn't, he wouldn't get that knife thrown at him.
Yeah, the knife, which takes like a long time to fucking launch. It's like Carrie at the beginning of her powers trying to launch this knife because it cuts to the knife like starting to move. You're like, come on, knife, come, you could do it. Come on.
Imagine if Corey died just so randomly by that knife.
I mean, he's the whole. So they pull him out, and he's the whole guy who motivates them because this is, we should all flee. But
is this demon though targeted? Like, is it targeting Corey? Is that what it wants, Corey, or does it want just all of them?
I think it wants all of them. I mean, I think its goal was just to suck the life out of all of them.
Oh, okay. To get more powerful?
I think so. But that's kind of like a concept introduced fairly late in the film.
Yeah. I've started laughing because I'm thinking of the end scene, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, the end, it's like, basically it's like there's some amazing scenes when you introduce the characters, then there's kind of like la la la, and then the end gets kind of funny again. So they try to leave, but all their car batteries have been destroyed conveniently by the demons. Demons are kind of like an EMP, like when like a nuclear bomb goes off and like all like things stop functioning. That's like a demon. But Corey is committed that he says whatever is here killed my grandparents. It's like, would you really be that committed to, no offense to my grandparents, who I'm sure were racist, but I'm not going to investigate what happened to them. Oh, Edward, how could you say such a thing?
Ray the plumber? Is your granddad?
I mean, I'm sure I'm related to
him. But anyways, they eventually make the decision that it is a good idea to leave. And since their car batteries are dead, they have to walk it out of there.
Yes, yeah.
And now here we get
amazing.
It's interesting though.
No, it is.
A thick fog rolls in.
Yeah.
And I read on IMDb that the fog was real. I refuse to believe
I fucking lolled when I saw that because the fog is so thick and so targeted. And it's like, how would that fog be real? And what would that situation be like? They're like, okay, we finished shooting 3 months ago, but we're still waiting for that day of fog. Man, I wish there was a way to make fog.
Yeah, that just made me laugh. But so the fog rolls in and they're transported to another part of the woods. And they're like, where are we? What is this? And then the fog rolls in again and they're transported back into the front of the house.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty cool.
It was cool. It's kind of similar to if you ever watched A Dark Song or The Others. I think both do the same kind of thing where you like run into the fog and then end up running back where you came from. So it's clear that they're never going to escape this farmhouse. The only way out is in.
Which is actually probably their safest bet there.
Now, is this when the 3 little girls suddenly appear?
Yeah, the little girls come out. They come out to play, and they tell them you can't leave.
In the interview with the actress who played Bonnie, she's like, and then there were those little girls. Like, I don't know if they were cast or if they were someone that people knew. I don't think they were actors, or I think they were just. And like, she like talks about not knowing if they were actors or not for like a minute, and I'm like, where is the editing of this interview?
I wouldn't be surprised though if those 3 little kids were just like happening to be riding by on their bikes, and they're just like, "Kids, get over here."
They, they really
got
have
an
that
idea.
vibe.
Yeah.
Now, the weird thing is, okay, this is a weird place. Weird shit's
Mhm.
going on. 3 little girls appear, and Dell walks up to one of them and goes, "Hey, where'd you come from, little girl?"
And what does she do?
She gives him like the Ryu spinning uppercut and sends him flying. Dell is like, oh. And then Bonnie is like, "What are you doing?" And Bonnie gets turned into a doll,
Bloody doll.
a bloody doll. If your friend got turned into a doll, would you keep him? You'd be like showing some of your toys, and you're like, "Funny story about this one. This was actually my friend. Some demons." Yet still, like you're going through like a million moves, and you're carrying around this battered doll because you're like, well, like it is a person. It's like basically looks like a fucking Garbage Pail Kid now, but
Wait, you're keeping the doll? Is what you're saying?
well, you have to.
Why?
You can't just throw. What are you going to just throw it out?
At what point are you wiping your ass with the doll?
I guess you bring it to the family, and you're like, okay, so bad news is Bonnie's basically dead, but the good news is she's kind of alive because she got turned into this doll. So you might want to like eat dinner with her, and on Christmas, hang out with her.
There's literally no way you could say that without looking like a lunatic.
I might do that to a family that has lost their kid. That'd be very cruel.
Like a beaten up bloody Cabbage Patch Kid.
Let me just check the fucking missing report. Oh, that's just too horrible. I can't do that.
Here's Adam Walsh.
People are like, "Ed, where are you going for the weekend?" "Oh, I got some good plans." And they explain it, and they're like, "Okay, so unmatch you on Hinge."
That's incredibly mean. But yeah, I mean, so you're just keeping that doll forever. So you're like 20 years later, you're married, and you have kids, and the kids just like, "Dad, can we get rid of the doll?"
No, you have to keep the doll. I mean, it is a person that got turned into a doll.
Although I am thinking that you could make millions off that story, like the way Annabelle and stuff like that.
Wait, we should go on eBay and fucking sell a random doll and say it was our friend. Like, our friend Dan got turned into this doll.
Use the whole Demon Wind backstory for the doll.
Wow.
That's not a bad idea. We're going to have competing auctions right now.
The demons won't let them leave. The sun's going down. They got 2 choices: sleep in the car or sleep in the house. Now, for some reason, they're like, everyone's like, I'm not sleeping in the car. I'm like, really?
Yeah, I would take my chances in the car.
Like, that this house is like haunted. One of your friends just got turned into a doll, and sleeping in a car is not a huge deal.
I really feel like they're so casual about their friend being turned into a doll. I would still be like, 5 scenes later, I would still be like, do you remember when that person got turned into a doll?
They
how could you go to sleep
once and then get over it?
Everybody's sleeping. I would not be able to sleep. Trust me, I'd be able to go all night. Fucking people are turned into dolls and shit's going down.
So, is this when Chuck and Stacy pull out their guns?
No, not yet. We have a couple other scenes because I think they're now investigating the house more and cleaning it up. They're very calm about it. It's like, well, if we're going to stay here the night, we might as well make it clean and.
Did you notice at times the sound in this film is really bad? Like, there's sometimes when they're talking, it sounds like they're talking via like AM radio. There's like crazy static just on all the audio. Anyway,
I didn't notice that. Maybe that was your copy of from Vinegar Syndrome. You have a couple issues with because Amazon Prime there was no issues with my sound.
Wow.
Look at that endorsement.
I think it's much cooler to support Vinegar Syndrome than Amazon Prime, but look.
Wait, who slammed the Vinegar Syndrome at the beginning of this episode? So they're inside, and Corey dictates to everyone that they need to clean the house up. But meanwhile, he fucks off and he goes into one of the rooms and he's just looking through like one of the drawers.
Yeah,
and this is where he finds his diary, the grandmother's diary,
and he says to everyone, "I think it's going to be okay." Not since Paul it follows saying, "Don't worry, everything's going to be cool." Yeah. Was there like a less reassuring statement?
Yeah, I don't know. Everybody just goes along with it though. Mm-hmm. It's really like all the characters just act around Corey. Like they don't have a mind of their own. It's weird. Except in a few other scenes that are relevant to the storyline. But this is where we learn about the 7 daggers. So with all 7 daggers, you can kill the son of Satan.
And it's interesting because these daggers are the exact same design as the ones from the Omen that you used to kill the son of Satan. So a very unlicensed, unofficial homage.
They probably just went to a prop thing and didn't realize what it was.
But Rusty, bad news. 5 of the daggers have been lost.
I really thought they would be found before the end of this movie.
I fucking lost the dagger, dude. I fucking left it on the bus. Oh my god, I fucked up. We're not gonna be able to kill Satan now, thanks to my dumbass.
Well, it seems like every time you use one, it disappears.
Oh, interesting.
So I think they fucked up in the past, just like where they used one on one of their friends and it disappears because once they use the 2 daggers, you never see them again.
Oh yeah, Elaine has a dialogue that's a little garbled, but I think she did say don't use the dagger, but he did in that one kill.
Oh, is that what she says? I thought she said use the dagger, but that makes much more sense if she said don't use the dagger.
Well, the audio is like, "What? Use the dagger," but she definitely says something before it. So, yeah,
I feel
decoding
like
this. This is like sifting through garbage.
Get Elaine on the phone. I'm curious. How many of these cast members do you think are still alive? All of them?
I think all of them, except all the old people who are clearly dead.
Oh, not Regina.
Wait, so then we get yet more backstory.
It seems like the writer is who wrote this. Do you remember?
The director.
The director. I feel like he's just like, wait, I just thought of an idea. We need a little bit more of this. This would be cool to add this element. It's just like you're just piling shit on top of shit.
The funny thing is in the special features, the producer, the DP, the actress, they all say, and the editor, they all say, "Oh man, Chuck, the director, Chuck was a character. He had a unique look." They all say he had a unique look, but no one says what the look was. It's like, what was his look?
Yeah, I don't even think you can find the picture of him on the internet.
He vanished. It seems like I'm not sure. I think he's dead now, but they said like,
there you go, another.
Everyone kind of in their interviews made comments to like, then Chuck left town, and I hope things worked out for him. He just like kind of went dark.
AWOL. He's posing as a vet right now in a mall near you.
I have to tell you, you have to look something up online right now. I'm sorry to do this. Another person they said was a character from this film was the producer, whose name. So the way the director got this job was he was hired to save a movie called Twisted Nightmare, which the producer had been directing, but things had fallen apart for him. Look up the producer, Paul Hunt. Look up his photo on IMDb. This is worthwhile for anyone at home. Please look up his photo, Paul Hunt.
I'm going there. Paul Hunt, director. What the hell?
Okay. I don't know how to describe this photo. How would you describe this photo?
It almost looks like early computer generated imagery, or like when somebody disappears, like a John Doe, and they just
it's like age enhancement.
They like find the skull somewhere and they try to construct it. It's like, well, probably had some blonde hair, gray beard.
So it's like an old guy in front of like a blue background, and then the color of his blue eyes are like the same color as the background, but the eyes are clearly fake. So it looks like Bob Ross in heaven. It's a very weird.
I have a good comparison for you. It looks like one of the Cocoon aliens.
Oh yeah.
If you put a wig on it to look more human. Oh, this guy's dead too. You're bashing on this dead guy.
They said he was a real character. Like in between every take, he would be like, "I'll tell you about my adventures in Bangkok yet."
This guy looks like he has a skeleton or two in his closet.
I'm sure he had tons of them. He was like, "You need a skeleton for that crucifix? I'll be right back. Give me 45 minutes."
Where did he get that from? Personal collection.
So, Rusty, tell us about this, the Satan worshiper guy. Too many elements in this film. They need to be all unified.
The Legend of Anders. I guess he was another resident that came to town. Did they say what year he came? Was he 1929?
He was 1929. He brought that drought with him.
Oh, that son of a bitch. Don't let this guy in your neighborhood. Stay on neighborhood watch. But What did this guy try to do? He tried to raise a devil, right?
He tried to raise the devil. This guy, he's a mixture of the old guy from Poltergeist who like led a congregation to their doom of settlers, and the Roman Castevet from Rosemary's Baby's dad, who like brought Satan back to life and like ate him in the lobby or whatever happened there. Oh, hold on, I think I hear unrest. When the old man in Rosemary's Baby, Roman Castevet, when him and Minnie Castevet first started dating, like how long do you think it took him to like brag that his father had brought Satan back? It's like, my father actually summoned Satan.
If you're into that lifestyle, you're opening with that. You got to open.
I guess so, yeah. That's like when I mentioned the podcast. That's like when he mentions Satan. Hey, I don't know if you're down with this, but
yeah,
my dad brought Satan back.
Because if you're doing that on the third date, it's just like, wait, why didn't you tell me this before? You bring that to the table, it's just like, whoa, I'm into this guy. Try it on your next date.
Wait, I think the Dodgers must have won the World Series.
Is that what's going on?
I thought it was. Wait, no, it's only the 6th. If anyone ever wanted to know when we're recording this,
I'm really shocked.
6th inning of the Dodgers game.
That baseball is still going on.
No, they must have won. Okay, yeah, they did win because I hear people cheering and all kinds of stuff happening.
Yeah.
Wow.
You just won.
This is a thrill.
Do you even care?
The Lakers, the Dodgers, dude. Do I care? Yeah, it's called civic pride.
Nobody cares.
I can't believe how many people I hear cheering. So the grandmother had triplets.
This storyline, the way they retell it, the way they tell it, it's a bit confusing.
This is so cocaine. This is like a guy pacing, and this is like the first draft.
But they said that the triplets were killed right after birth, and none of the babies were human.
And they were like, none of the babies were human. They were all the same, except Corey's dad. But it's like, okay, wait. So were there triplets and he was one of the triplets, or were there 4 total?
Or did he just happen to be born on June 8th as well? But the triplets,
whatever it was, he was the normal one, I guess.
In the incubator.
Yeah.
Not that normal.
Yeah.
They had to incubate him. But yeah, what's so special about Corey's dad though?
Well, that question is asked, and then Corey doesn't say anything, and Elaine is like has a weird look of disgust. And it's like, is that frustration or is that what was that?
I don't know. I mean, there should have been more disgust on Elaine's face throughout this movie.
So then right after this huge exposition scene, now they've seen their friend turn into a doll, but Chuck and Stacy are standing guard, and they know that some demons are going to show up. Like they're so aware that demons are going to, like they already accept that demons will be showing up.
Yeah. Well, the perv that I am, I've been, rubbing my hands together saying, where's the nudity? There's got to be nudity in this movie.
Here comes the nudity. Topless lady is like, hi, boys. And then they look at each other and go, demon.
Yeah. Hey, lady.
It's interesting dialogue they have here. I just want to read you the dialogue, Rusty.
I want to hear it.
I'll perform the scene. I wish we had hand grenades or something. I'd rather have a Tahitian vacation. Not Tahiti. Why not? Voodoo, man. They do voodoo in Tahiti. Okay, let's say Chicago. Vegas. Nothing spiritual lives in Vegas. Good point. Vegas it is.
The way you recited it was beautiful.
I'm going to, there's so many theaters that are out of business during the pandemic. I'm going to be like, let me go perform I'll pay you your rent for the month. Let me just do my work.
I want to see you do a one-man demon wind show.
Oh boy.
People would go. You'd probably get an audience for that.
Maybe it could be like a mashup of all these kind of like 80s kind of video horror movies, like Hellgate, like put them all together.
Yeah.
This actually does have a Ghoulies feel in a way though, because it is like the one character who is driven by like the legacy of his family going to the weird haunted area, who has like dragged his friends along who are like, I guess we'll help him out, figure out his haunted family.
I mean, this is making Ghoulies look like high art.
I don't know who wins this or Ghoulies, to be honest.
You've lived with a Ghoulie now, so.
Yeah, how can you say that?
No, I'm sorry, man. Come on, get back in the toilet.
But so in this moment, they know it's a demon, and they're going to take it. They're going to take the fight to the demon.
They are just so confident. They just walk out
What?
with their guns.
But before they do that, they turn to their friends who are all sleeping. Were they under like some sort of
Yeah,
sedation?
they were under like a very convenient film spell where they were like, "You're not going to be in this scene. Sleep."
They're all in a deep sleep. The guys are like, "Hey guys, wake up! There's something out there." And it's like, "Nah, they're not getting up. Let's take care of this ourselves."
And now, look, as I said last episode, I did try to stab an earthquake. So who am I to talk? But they're so confident that their guns are going to work on these demons, which they do.
Not really, but they do. They knock them down.
Yeah, they just go out there and start blasting people left and right.
They're like weebles. They just get up right back up.
And
I feel like watching this scene though is classic you and I in like a Call of Duty S game. Backs against the wall, just shooting randomly.
oh yeah,
You know we're not making out of it. These guys, we're older. We don't have the skills.
although Chuck has they were like, that roundhouse kick you do, it's great. You got to do it again. We got to find one more scene for you. And he does a roundhouse kick, knocks this demon's head right off.
Lou Diamond Phillips' head.
Well,
Maybe.
I don't think it was his.
No, I don't
But
think that's it.
in classic horror movie style, he then starts saying, I made it, fuck you. And he backs up right into a demon who says, surprise, in a really annoying way.
I really thought of Creepshow 2 when he was doing it. I made it.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, very much reminiscent of the raft from Creepshow 2.
Corey is so calm about everything going on right now.
Oh, yeah, because now at this point, they open the door and see that Chuck and Stacy have been killed.
Yeah.
And did you notice? So Terry screams, and she screams because Chuck was her ex, and I guess, seeing anyone killed by a demon. But she screams, and the camera pushes in on her, and it totally loses focus very noticeably. And I guess the director was just like, her emotion was great. We're going to keep that, even though it got soft. The scream was great. We're keeping it.
You got to keep going. You got to keep pushing forward like we're doing.
Yep, you do. And again, Corey is way too calm and evasive.
Yeah. Plus, he's also withholding vital information, which
He is?
basically costs. Yeah. Basically, he's not telling his friends that his grandmother was potentially a witch. He's protecting his grandmother who's been dead for 60 years.
A lot of protecting the ancestors that I just don't really see myself doing. If me and a bunch of my friends went to my grandparents' house, I wouldn't be like, oh, I got to keep their honor intact.
The crazy thing about this is that there's people dying off. So now's the time to introduce some fresh meat. And this is what Will.
I couldn't believe this.
I couldn't believe it either.
This is already a pretty large cast. We already got enough kind of anonymous young actors. Yeah. And suddenly they have two friends who are like, we're here now. And you're like, what?
There is nothing needed from these people. They do nothing.
They do absolutely nothing. And they pull up, and the idea is if they don't turn off the car ignition, it'll be fine. So they all come running out to be like, don't turn it off, don't turn it off, don't turn it off. And then they get to the car as they're turning it off, and Willie is like, what'd you guys say? And they're like, oh, damn it. Which reminded me of the time we went on a ski trip. And I'm sure our friend Larry doesn't listen to this, so I can say this pretty openly. And it was the first time they'd ever met my ex, Megan. And me and Megan were already at this house, and Larry, Nick, and Dan were showing up. And I get a call from Larry, and the service is kind of shitty because in the mountains. And I answer, and he's like, does Megan have red hair? And I was like, what? And he's like, does Megan have red hair? And I'm like, yes. And he's like, okay. And he hangs up. I'm like, why did he say that? And then I see that he's like, their car is pulling up. But I think they got confused or something because they ended up going reverse and then went into a ditch. We had to get a guy from AAA to come tow the car out of the ditch. And when we were like, oh, how's your night going? He's like, better than ever put this goddamn car in the ditch. He definitely thought it was a drunk driving accident.
I'm sure, but I don't understand. What did Larry do to make them drive in the ditch?
Oh, because yes, that is a key detail that I forgot. there was snow on the ground and it was icy, and the driveway was like if you stopped, you would just roll back and slide backwards. You kind of had to use your momentum and get up the fucking driveway. So that's why he ended up sliding back on like this like black ice into the ditch.
But I mean, these two characters, Willie and Rena, they're completely like vacuous.
They're so anonymous.
Yeah, and like Rena asked the question after they say like, "Don't turn off the ignition." She's like, "What do we do wrong?"
Oh yeah.
Like, they're clearly like panicked. You see a whole bunch of people come running towards you, like panicked, and you're just like, "Hey, we're here." Like,
and also, I mean, even though it's kind of corny, the movie's gone to great lengths to have like kind of archetypes for each character. And with Willie and Rena, it's like, oh, we're already far enough in the movie that they're just two more people.
I do like that the demon is barking with excitement when they fuck up. It's like, nope, got you.
So then Dell decides to leave with Terry, and they walk off, and it's nighttime again.
Yeah, did they know that wasn't going to work from the first time they tried it?
I mean, and also they take one of the valuable guns with them.
Yeah, I don't know why it wasn't even. Dell never even pulled it out.
They do the classic bit from this movie where Terry is like facing away from Dell, and Dell's like, "Hey, is everything cool?" And like he walks towards her, and then she turns around, and she's like, "Surprise!" And she's a demon.
Yeah, I did like that.
She stabs him in the head.
She stabs him in the head, but he's like, "I loved you," and then she's like, "I loved you too."
I know. That was such a bad payoff. Here's what should have happened. They make a comment like in the next scene that Dell was eaten. She should have taken a big chunk out of him and said, "That's what I keep you around for." Like they could have paid off that thing that they kept setting up.
That would have been so clever.
Yes.
That it's far beyond the abilities of this movie.
I think you might be right.
But you know what? The other thing is, like, they brought more characters in, I think, because they wanted to have a couple more death scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But none of the gore was good. None of the death scenes were that like unique. They were just very predictable and kind of like, been there, done that kind of thing.
Yeah, very much so.
Even like when they decide to go to the barn, which I think is the next scene.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I don't know where they got the idea that the barn would be the safe place, that would give them power.
They're going to the barn though, and they hear like an animal howl, and someone goes, "What was that?" And Willie goes, "It wasn't human, that's for sure." It's like, no shit, it wasn't human. That's like fucking like a dog howling. Why would it being human even be part of the conversation?
It was you with your pants off like the fucking satyr thing.
Yes, it was. Wow, that's. Have you seen Ed lately? Looks like he's going through a bit of a hard time. He is playing tricks on mortals, so that's good, I guess. But his lower half is a goat. His neighbors keep leaving notes on the door that are like, "Can you stop clomping around so much? I've got hoofs. What do you want from me?"
There was a scene where there was hoofs entering the door, right? Am I remembering?
No, yeah. You're remembering. I mean, this goat bottom really pays off because I believe that is the final form of the demon. Mm. But first we go into the barn, and Chuck and Stacy reappear as demons, and they're like, "We're the gruesome twosome." You're just like, "Get off screen, please."
I really found the makeup very unsettling for some reason. Like,
yeah, it was. I didn't like looking at it.
Well.
Wait, what you said? Because it was done well or it wasn't done well?
No, it wasn't done well. It wasn't.
No, it wasn't done well. Yeah, it was weird because it was like not gross. It was not effective, but it was also just like ugly. You're just like, I don't want to look at that. Get that away from me.
It almost looked like. I mean, it was obviously done better, but when you used to go to like a party store and you'd get the scar makeup and you'd be like, "Oh, I'm going to do such a good job. I'm going to make myself look like I have scars." And then you put it on, and it just looks like clumps of clay on your face. It just looks terrible.
Yeah.
Get some of that fake blood, pour it on the wound.
It looked like a bad photocopy of the picture that was on the box for those things.
That's not bad. That's not a bad comparison. I guess that's what they're going for.
So Willie,
we didn't even talk about the box art. Wait, we didn't even talk about the box art.
Oh, that's the most famous part of this film.
That really is the most. That was the
That's
thing.
the only reason why we did that. That's the only reason people know this movie. I can't believe we took it so long to mention it.
That was the thing that anytime you went to the VHS store, you saw that you're like, I gotta get this. That is awesome box art.
We mentioned it last episode. It's like a hologram of like a demon coming out the window, and if you moved your position in the blockbuster, the demon would be bursting through the window.
Yeah, I guess you learn now as a 40-year-old adult that gimmicky box art always meant it was a pretty shitty movie.
Yeah.
Except maybe Frankenhooker. I'll maintain
Oh,
that
yeah.
Frankenhooker a good movie.
But that was a very limited release, I guess.
What was that one that had the blood on it? That you
Bleeders, right?
Bleeders, yeah. They don't really do that anymore for Blu-rays, right? I guess they do, right?
I mean, I guess they do in the way that something like Vinegar Syndrome will make a piece of shit look like a Criterion Collection. So you're like, oh wow, is this this is going to be a good film?
But anyways, back into the barn. Let's get through this barn scene.
Willie and Rena get killed like immediately. We're like, why did they even arrive? They got murdered so quick.
Well, I mean, the skeleton in the barn, it was like a minotaur.
Oh yeah, so there's like a cow head or bull head on a human skeleton, and Rena gets like close to it. She's like, I think it's really beautiful, and then it shoots its tongue out, wraps around her neck. Kind of a classic. Those 80s horror movies always needed to have like a tongue wrap around someone's neck.
Yeah,
and then, like pops her head off basically.
Yeah, so
no, it sucks her into the thing. Whatever it does.
Whatever it does, it doesn't matter. So they all run out of the barn. They're back in the house. Rena shows up and she gets a dagger to the face.
Yeah, Rena shows up as a demon. She's had a quick conversion.
Willie was so useless, her boyfriend, that you don't even see him die. They just like show his head later on that he's dead. He didn't get to be turned into a demon. It was just like, this character sucks. The guy has a weird earring that's uncomfortable to look at. I don't know. He just seemed like such a lame dude.
He did. So then it's like the demon starts swarming the house, much like that part in Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, that took me back. That is one thing. That's another thing I like. There's a few scenes I like. This is another one.
Yeah, this was kind of a fun. Yeah, it was kind of like a classic zombie siege scene. Before they really start sieging it, though, at first the house is like protected by a spell. It's like, your grandmother's spell still working, and Corey's like, yeah, eat it, scumbags. But then like the wind picks up and the spell goes away, and you're like, why was the spell even there? It like lasts like a second.
Yeah. I mean, Corey. The one moment Corey got to be chose to be cocky, immediately backfired on him.
But then then this like attack starts picking up, and it is, like you said, a pretty fun action scene. Even though the whole time you're just looking for Lou Diamond Phillips.
I know. I do like that the character. I think it was Stacy or Chuck. I think it's Stacy, where he's like coming through the window and they're shooting him with a shotgun.
Oh, I know exactly the shot you're going to say.
And he flies out the window, and when they reverse a shot from the outside, it's the dilapidated house.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, they did that effect. That was cool.
Yeah, that was like, okay, that's cool. That's about it.
Then did you notice that? So Jack, if you remember Jack, the pretentious guy, he has a hammer. And he like so deliberately misses when he swings at one of these demons coming in the window. It was such an awkward thing. I was like, unless Jack needs glasses, like I think anyone would make that hit.
Need my glasses. I can't see without my glasses.
And then, although I can imagine myself in that kind of situation, just like fucking up like that and being like, oh, as I'm getting eaten, being like, I can't believe I missed that easy shot.
It was like in your head. It's like a baseball,
just like Call of Duty. Oh yeah,
it's like softball for you.
Striking out in softball. So
strike out in kickball. Wait, did you ever strike out in kickball? That was like the worst.
I think I did. Only not. I saved it for like adult leagues.
All right, moving along.
Moving along. So Jack misses with that hammer. And even though it would make sense since he missed the hammer on that demon should kill him. Instead, he starts hearing Bonnie calling to him from behind. And in all these movies, it's always like, if I saw you get turned into a doll and that doll exploded, and then I saw you, I wouldn't be like, Rusty, oh my God. I'd be like, looks like a demon has taken the form of Rusty. But he's like, Bonnie, is that you?
Well, I mean, there was no concrete evidence that she was a demon, though. Maybe he was hopeful, or just a bit.
Yeah, I mean, delusional. I guess in that situation, Any port in a storm, as Matt Damon says to Robin Williams in Good Will Hunting.
I'm
So
willing to say
Elaine,
that- I'm
what?
just willing to say though, if you see somebody you love, you would probably want to believe it's them.
Yeah, you would. So Elaine retreats to get the diary, and she sees Jack, but it's a classic Jack. He's actually a demon. Same kind of thing.
Yeah.
But a
And
weird scene here because he starts fondling her boobs,
yeah, it's just like, what are they going for? Like,
and that shot is really weird. It's like an extreme close up of like boobs under a shirt, and then just hands groping.
I don't think Elaine did any of these scenes. I don't think
I
the
don't think so
actress was
either.
comfortable with that.
Also, a weird thing is when she takes the dagger out of her like belt to stab him,
Mhm.
she's wearing a weird glove that it's like painted to look like skin. So I don't know if it was like a guy and they're trying to have him wear like a woman's hand. I don't know what it was, but it was like definitely a glove. It was really weird.
Now, if you get stabbed by the dagger, can you still come back as like the way they come back to mess with Corey?
No, I was actually, I came to love these unforgettable characters. So I was hoping for a Ghoulies style ending where everyone's back alive.
Yeah.
But as we see, Jack gets stabbed by the dagger, and he turns into Jack as we knew him. Then he turns into Jack as a boy, and then he turns into Jack as a dove. Now, we've seen two magicians who specialized in doves. Wouldn't they be the guys turning into doves? That just seemed like such an arbitrary dove.
I feel like it's because they already had the animal on set.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
But it just felt so lazy.
I mean, I like that though. I would like to go back if I'm being struck by the dagger. Go back as
rusty.
my younger self, a little rusty, instead of like the other way where you age. The character
fuck that.
ages.
I'm already doing enough of that. I'm done with that.
A little rusty. For a brief second, I would just be like, "Oh, where's my GI Joes?" And then a baby. I have to ask you, what would your soul look like?
Oh, you mean if I like how he becomes the dove?
Yeah. What would we
I
see
would
with you?
become the troll, probably the troll from the movie Troll, except very muscular, like completely ripped, like one of the troll, but with like Arnold's body.
That's another movie, Harbinger, and then that one.
Oh yeah,
the buff troll.
Buff troll. Oh my god.
That is
so.
Like. Then there were none.
Then there were none. Wow.
The demon finally gets in. Well, the demons finally get in, I should say, and they have the heroes pinned down. This movie's about to end.
Yes,
hopefully.
Thank God.
But instead, the father, the head demon, calls them away. They're his children,
and it is Anders.
Is that who that is? That's
yes.
Where we finally meet Anders.
We finally see the character that was referred to, never seen, that we don't give a fuck about. The weird preacher from 1929.
Wait, I thought that was Harcourt. Is Harcourt Anders?
No. Harcourt. No, Harcourt is not Anders.
Wait, so Anders? Wait, Harcourt's not Anders? Because I'm looking it up on IMDb and I don't see any actor that played Anders. I don't even see Anders listed here.
Okay, well, that must be a mystery. While you were looking that up, can I say that Paul Hunt, the very weird picture guy, who is the producer, he's a producer of a movie called Mata Hari, and it was just recently announced, but he died in 2011. So what's that like? Imagine being on that shoot. It'd be so easy to like put everything on the dead producer, where someone's like, "Hey, look, I just want to get like if I can get a better rate or something." It's like, "Oh, look, I would love to. I'm gonna ask Paul." Thing is, Paul's dead, so I feel like he's not going to get back to me. So you're just going to have to stick with this rate. Ooh, I totally hear you about that, but we're going to have to do extra hours tonight because I couldn't reach Paul. I tried the Ouija board, but no reply.
Got to talk to the doll. Got to bring the doll out.
Oh my god.
Oh boy. I really feel like. Do you have an IMDb credit?
I do.
Do you have a picture?
Wait, do I have an IMDb credit? I've got like a million credits on here.
Not credit. I meant, do you have an IMDb picture on your?
Yeah, but I'm wearing a mask. Way before it was cool.
It's cool. See, I want you to get a different picture, and I want to have it like airbrushed over, so you look like that.
Man, I mean, this photo is only from 2017, but look at all that hair.
Now I have to look you up. I can't believe I never looked you up on IMDb. Oh my god, you actually come right up. Look at this guy. He's made it. Holy shit, that hair looks good.
I know. Those were the days.
What year was that from?
2017.
3 years.
Anders appears. He is the preacher, and he says, "Come to me, my children." And then he just sucks all the energy out of the demons. So I guess we're to believe that he's been waiting this whole time to get enough demons together to suck their energy out.
Yeah, I don't get it, but it took that long. What was he doing for that amount of time, though?
Just chilling.
Watching YouTube videos.
So Bonnie and Corey flee back inside the house, and the demon, we've talked a lot about my goat legs. The demon comes in with goat legs. He kind of looks like a white fur abominable snowman meets like a horrible with a disease. And he says, "Am I not beautiful?" It's like, really?
What do you think? I thought he was beautiful.
And then Corey turns to Elaine and he says, "I know it's a bad time, but I love you." It's like, dude, if a fucking demon came in and was like about to kill me, I would say that to a chair. It's like, that's not a bad time. It's like anyone around me, I'd be like, "Hey, I love you." That's just like if you're in a plane crash, turn to your seatmate, be like, "You're a great guy."
I just want to know, how long do you have to quarantine for before you find that demon beautiful?
A long time. That's like the dog park. Like bring someone in an outfit like that to the dog park and be like, "Yeah, my dog's pretty weird looking." Someone's like, that looks like a guy in a costume.
But now it's time for Corey to level up.
I have to admit, the first time I watched this, I looked at my phone and then I looked up and he had transformed and I was like, what the hell just happened?
He digs deep and it says a spell that he, unlocks these new powers. I feel like he was asking for alien, but instead got alienation. Doesn't he kind of look like?
Dude, I don't know if alienation, I don't know if anyone knows that anymore, although surely more people know that than Demon Wind, but he looks like, and something about his eyes, once he has that alienation head on, he looks so goofy.
Yeah. He's terrible looking.
It's horrible looking. It's really unintentionally comedic.
If you didn't hate him before, you definitely hate him now. But he eventually gets knocked down, gets a little woozy, walks in the door and passes out.
Yeah. The way he tips over.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the way he tips over. But then he comes to and all his friends are there.
I thought this was the Ghoulies ending. I was like, oh cool, everyone's back.
I know. For some reason, I found myself checking the time a lot. Be like, oh, there's 15 minutes left, and I was just like, oh, well, this is not going to be the ending.
Oh yeah.
But I did like it. Like they said, oh, he's like, where am I? And she's like, you walked in the door of the farmhouse and you passed out. And I howled at this moment.
I was waiting for you to mention this.
I love it. I've been saying it almost on every episode, but Del says to him that he hit the floor so hard it was like he got belted by Mike Tyson. I love a good Mike Tyson reference, and it just goes to show you, 1989, Tyson, not even at his height of his popularity, but you think he was at the height of his popularity?
I think that was the exact height, but I'd have to check.
Really?
I'd have to check the records.
The power he generated, just that in that close range, that uppercut he would do, and the guys' heads would snap back. We're
gonna have a spin-off show. They're gonna be like, I like 30 minutes or less, but I love 30 seconds or less. Rusty's breakdown of Mike Tyson's quickest knockouts.
I would do that. I would reimburse you for all your stock losses if you were to take one of those uppercuts from Tyson.
I just imagine myself running around the ring trying to get away from him.
You would
I'd end up in a corner so quick, run myself into a corner and be like, oh my God, no.
You would go down the way Little Mac goes down in the game when he gets knocked out from him. Do you know he's back? He's going to fight again in November.
I did not know that.
Just in time for your birthday. He's fighting Roy Jones Jr., both of them coming out of retirement for one last fight.
Wow.
Dude, both of those guys, I don't know, we're turning into a boxing show right now, but both of those guys are ripped and ready.
Really?
Wow. And they're both in their, I think, 40s or 50s now. I'm not sure. But you watch their training video, their reflexes are so good and so tight.
Wow.
like I would love to have that just to play video games. So maybe I need to start trading. Who do you take though? I'm just taking Tyson just based on his history.
I think that's enough boxing content.
So Elaine, Elaine being choked again by the demon, but now he has the power to save her and shut that shit down. But beforehand, we get another dad flashback.
Pointless flashback.
Uh,
And we get the classic horror movie thing where he's like, "I'm not afraid of you," and he's like,
God.
"It's you who are afraid of us." I'm like, "Where is this coming from?" He's like, "You're terrified of us because we're alive and you're dead. God changed into a snake and a chicken shit at the same time." And I was like, "Is this guy talking to me?"
I always hate the two, like the demon or whatever character is always like, ooh, like it's always like
Yeah,
writhing a bit, like that hurts. It's like it's onto me. It knows my weakness.
it's so cliche to have like, "I'm not afraid of you." So
Yeah,
the demon is like, I don't need magic to kill you," and then tosses him across the room. But then, Rusty, what happens?
But the Superman punch?
Oh, huge! He hits him hard.
And it's one last spell and sends the demon back to where it came from. Fire. Set that demon on fire. You know what I found annoying though? Because after the demon's on fire and there's what's it doing? Just dancing around.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. But the house blows up again in the same exact way it does in the beginning of the movie. There's recycling footage throughout this movie.
Oh yeah, that was definitely the same footage.
And then Corey's back to his regular self.
Yeah. Corey and Elaine are okay. I don't know how they're going to explain this to like the families of their friends. They're like, "So we're fine," which is cool. But everyone we were with got turned into demons. We had to kill them.
I was more troubled that they were super excited. They didn't even like say like, "Oh, all our friends are dead though," but we'll get through it together. We have each other. Like it's not even that. It's just like, man, fuck all of them.
So the final scene is a little cringe-inducing. They go back into, if you could call it, town, basically that gas station, and Harriet, who's the weird waitress lady at the diner, she is like a demon, and she's like, "I've got a surprise for you." And they go, "So do we." And they take out like a book and they zap her with like a animated laser from the book.
Leave no demon behind is their motto.
But then there's one last moment.
Yeah, it all comes full circle. The last shot is the girl in the hills is still watching them.
You loved her when she was pointing a stick. She's back.
This girl needs a life.
Yeah, she really does.
But guess what? The biggest twist is she's a demon now.
Yeah.
So,
although she was always a demon.
Yeah, we knew she was a demon, but at that time we weren't quite sure. But I mean, I guess this is the setup for a possible sequel.
I don't know what it is, but she looks at the camera and she's like, and the way that it goes to the credits is like so weak. Did you notice? Like it's kind of the energy just like,
yeah, it's really weak. Do you think though, this girl that played that, do you think, I'm sure she's married now, has kids or whatever. Do you think she has told her family that she was in this movie as the little girl in the hills?
I think like every once in a while they're like, let's break that out.
Oh, you think so? I would feel like that, like after being married for like a couple of years, she's like, I have something really embarrassing to tell you. I was in this movie Demon Wind when I was a kid. I feel like
it's so funny. A lot of people that are in these movies, like sometimes they'll appear on the Vinegar Syndrome or the Arrow special features, and they'll be like less aware of the film than like just fans. Like these are people who are like in the movie. They're like, I didn't even know that was on DVD.
Meanwhile, it's like people showing up and having tattoos of these characters.
Well, let's not go too far. If I ever saw a Demon Wind tattoo, I don't know what I would. Although maybe I'll get one on my chest. The demon bursting out of my chest.
I think you should get the guy when he says, "Look at me, I'm beautiful."
Oh yeah! Oh my god! I'm just gonna get plastic surgery to look like him. I'm gonna be like, this is what my goal is, and the doctor's like, I ethically can't do this.
You already look like him from the waist below. You just have to.
That's true. I'm like, just match the drapes to the carpet. Well, that about wraps up Demon Wind. Rusty, why don't you tell us what's going to be next?
This is huge announcement. I don't know if we have many huge announcements on the show, but this is one of them. My next pick is one of our favorite movies from back in our childhood, Total Recall.
We have referenced Total Recall so many times on this show.
Give this people ear.
That this is going to be a big one.
Open your mind.
Sorry, I'm reading a tweet at us
Yeah.
regarding Ed's metamorphosis over the course of the show. I now picture Ed as a mostly bald vampire in a Jar Jar Binks costume with a crab arm mutation on his left arm, a bazooka strapped on his back. I like that, and a bag of apples. Rusty mostly looks the same, except he has a bow and arrow on his back and is wearing a Celtics uniform Bob Cousy gave him after you two-time traveled 60 years in the past so Rusty could challenge him in a one-on-one game. Woo, that's some deep cuts.
Oh my god. I'm listening to that. I'm just like, what's the what's the Celtics thing? And I'm just like,
that's when you said that you could beat any old celebrity in basketball. Rusty is athletic, though. That's the thing. He probably could.
Everyone I've told this theory to has said, no, I couldn't.
Wow.
We're going back in time. And
I can't believe that Jen and Nova said you couldn't do that.
Nova's like, Daddy, you can't do that. No, I'm going back. I'm leaving you in the present. I'm going back. You want to see it? There's certain people I couldn't beat. Like sport, like a boxing person, probably not. But Bob Cousy one-on-one, I'm stealing that ball. I'm dunking on him.
Probably not. No shit, you couldn't beat a boxing person.
But I don't know. I feel like you look at like the old judo stuff from like the early 1900s. I could beat a judo guy.
Wow.
I think I could. I think I could beat any sport except like something that's like brutal combat, like those old bare knuckle brawls things. No, I'm not doing that. You know, I'm going to ask you this because I always do, but I think I already know the answer to it. Would you recommend this movie?
That depends.
Depends on what you say.
Do I hate the person who's asking?